very good evening and welcome to the news tonight, the show that gets you the day's top stories from India and across the world. I'm Tracy Shilchi. Let's start with the headlines. Supreme Court stays Uttarakhand High Court's verdict quashing President's rule in the state, records the undertaking that the centre will not revoke presidential proclamation till the next hearing on the 27th of April. Met Department warns that 2016 will be the hottest year India has ever seen. Scorching temperatures are being caused by the El Niño phenomenon that could turn neutral in the coming months. Landslide in Arunachal's Tawang district kills at least 16 people. Victims were all construction workers who were inside their camp when the tragedy struck. BJP leader Subramanian Swamy and Navjot Singh Sidhu among 6 people nominated to Rajya Sabha. Narendra Jadhav, Malayalam actor Suresh Gopi, journalist Swapan Das Gupta and boxer Mary Kom also to become members. And India upsets China by granting visa to World Uyghur Congress leader Dolkun Issa. Decision comes days after Beijing blocks proposed ban on Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar at the UN. Our top story, in a partial relief to the Modi government, the Supreme Court today stayed the Uttarakhand High Court's verdict quashing President's rule in the state. Yesterday's High Court judgment will be kept on hold till the next date of hearing, which is April 27th. The Apex Court also clarified that the stay was a measure of balance for both the parties, as the copy of the verdict was not made available to them. Before passing the brief order, though, the court recorded an undertaking that the centre shall not revoke the presidential proclamation till the next date of hearing.
A day after the setback in the High Court, the centre on Friday moving the Supreme Court on the order revoking President's rule in Uttarakhand. The Apex Court stayed the High Court's order till 27th of April.
The matter was heard today. The Supreme Court, after a detailed hearing, has suspended the operation of the judgment of the High Court. The High Court judgment had set aside the proclamation. This means the proclamation revives and the governor's rule revives currently. The Chief Minister will have no power or jurisdiction to work any further till further orders are passed by the Supreme Court on 27th. That is the effect of the judgment.
The decision to approach the Supreme Court was taken after a meeting of BJP leaders that's in the opposition in Uttarakhand. Thereafter, Attorney General Mukul Rohatgi sought an urgent hearing from the Supreme Court.
It was pointed out by the Attorney General, Mr. Mukul Rohatgi, that an urgent hearing is required because here is a situation that an order has been dictated in the court, in the High Court in Uttarakhand. That order is not available with anybody, and that order is now moving towards implementation. So therefore it needs to be heard urgently, and particularly with regard to an application for interim relief in terms of a stay.
The Supreme Court posted the next hearing on the matter on 27th of April. President's rule was imposed in Uttarakhand on March 27th after 9 legislators of its ruling Congress party rebelled against the leadership of Chief Minister Harish Rawat.
There was no way other than P56. Assembly is not dissolved. Assembly is not dissolved. SR Bombay case spirit has been kept in mind because there was a constitutional breakdown. Temporary president rule has been imposed. And any time the assembly can be revived also.
The central government recommended the imposition of president's rule in the state after an emergency meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on 26th of March. It received the formal nod from President Pranab Mukherjee on March 27th, but stating that even the president can be wrong, the High Court bench of Chief Justice K.M. Joseph and Justice V.K. Bisht observed that it would be a travesty of justice if the centre revoked its order imposing president's rule in the state and allowed someone else to form a government before it gave the verdict.
Central government has been behaving like the slayer of democracy, the butcher of institutions, and the murderer of any thought which is contrary to what their idea of India is. So therefore, after receiving this very severe reprimand from the Uttarakhand High Court, the central government would be well advised not to pursue with this adventure any further and let things be decided on the floor of the House as is constitutionally mandated.
The issue came to the division bench of Uttarakhand High Court after a single judge ordered a floor test on 28th of March. This was after a controversy broke out over the passage of appropriation bill on 18th of March, with the BJP and dissident Congress MLAs claiming that the money bill had fallen and the government has lost its majority. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
All right, we'll keep an eye on developments there. Now turning our focus to the weather, where a cyclonic circulation is continuing to bring rain to the entire northeast region, especially Assam and Meghalaya. But for the rest of the country, 2016 could be the hottest year of the century. The Ministry of Earth Sciences says that north, west and southwest India are reeling under intense heat wave conditions, with scores of people dying of sunstroke.
2016 could be the hottest year India has ever seen, is the Meteorological Department's latest warning. It came on a day of scorching temperatures all across the country. The Met Department claimed that the hot temperatures were caused by El Nino phenomena that is likely to become neutral in the coming months.
समर सीजन में तापमान जब तक नहीं गिरते हैं, जब तक कि या तो ठंडी इलाकों से हवाएं ना आए या थंडरस्टॉर्म या बारिश ना हो। अब हुआ क्या है कि पिछले लगभग 2 से 3 सप्ताह के दौरान देश के ज़्यादातर जो मैदानी राज्य हैं वहाँ कोई डस्टॉर्म, थंडरस्टॉर्म या बारिश नहीं हुई है। क्लियर स्काई कंडीशंस बनी हुई हैं। एक तो ये लोकल कारण है जिसकी वजह से तापमान बढ़े हुए हैं। दूसरा जो ग्लोबल रीजन्स हैं, एल नीनो की कंडीशन अभी भी बनी हुई है, तो उसका प्रभाव भी कहीं ना कहीं एक पूरे एरिया या पूरे रीजन के ऊपर पड़ा हुआ है कि तापमान नॉर्मल से ज़्यादा है।
Meanwhile, Odisha continued to swelter under the heat wave, registering the season's highest temperature of 47 degrees Celsius at Titlagarh. Jharkhand's Jamshedpur district sweltered under 45.6 degrees Celsius. Uttar Pradesh also experienced scorching heat, with the mercury touching 45.3 degrees Celsius in Allahabad. Maximum temperatures continue to hover above normal in most places in Haryana and Punjab. Hisar recorded a maximum temperature of 40 degrees Celsius. In western Maharashtra, Vidarbha saw severe heat conditions. Chandrapur was the hottest at 45.6 degrees Celsius. Temperatures, however, dropped marginally in Delhi and some other parts of northern region in the wake of a fresh western disturbance.
रोड पे चलना इतना मुश्किल हो गया है। 42 डिग्री तापमान है। रोड पे देखिए आप कितनी सन्नाटे हैं, जबकि रोड पे बहुत भीड़ रहती है और इस टाइम देखिए रोड पे निकलना एकदम बहुत मुश्किल हो गया है।
गर्मी बहुत बढ़ती जा रही है, पानी की तकलीफें तो है ही है और गर्मी के वजह से लोगों को बहुत तकलीफ हो रही है। 44 क्रॉस कर चुका है ऑलरेडी। अभी अप्रैल में ही ये हाल है तो पता नहीं मई कैसे निकलेगा।
40 के ऊपर पारा चला गया है। आप देखोगे तो रोड पूरे खाली है और हमें भी काफी तकलीफ हो रही है। घर से बाहर निकलने की इच्छा नहीं होती है।
Globally too, the year is expected to be the hottest. United States National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration has termed March 16 as the hottest March so far. The agency also said that for 2016, global average temperature was 2.07 degrees Fahrenheit above the 20th century average. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, there's also reports of a tragic incident from Arunachal Pradesh. A landslide has killed at least 16 people in Tawang district early Friday morning. All of them were construction workers and were inside their camp at the time of the incident. Their bodies have now been pulled out by rescue teams.
While large parts of North and South India reel under an intense heat wave, the northeastern state of Arunachal Pradesh is facing a flood-like situation. Heavy rainfall in the past few days has wreaked havoc in parts of the state, especially in Tawang district. A massive landslide in the wee hours of Friday took away more than a dozen lives, all of them construction workers. At the time of the mishap, the workers were inside their camp, so caught unawares. Their bodies were pulled out of the debris in a joint operation carried out by the army, civil administration, police and locals. The landslide also damaged residential buildings in the area. The main road also remained blocked due to the ongoing rescue operations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has condoled the deaths in the labour camp. Home Minister Rajnath Singh called up Arunachal CM Kaliko Pul and took stock of the situation. He assured full central assistance to the state to tackle the flood situation. Incessant rainfall in several districts of the state has led to rising water levels in the Nuadehing and Jengtu rivers, inundating fresh areas besides damaging several flood protection embankments. 2 hydel projects have also been severely damaged. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, taking a look at the drought situation in Marathwada, the administration is taking all possible steps to overcome the water crisis in the region in Maharashtra. It has engaged about 3,000 tankers to supply water to 8 districts, but that hasn't prevented the villagers from waging a daily struggle for water, something that has changed the routine of women and children there. Here's a special report.
It's 10 p.m. and yet with pitchers in hand, these women are not ready to give up their search for drinking water. At the Sant Kabir Nagar locality in Beed's Ambajogai area, women workers walk for miles to get water. This is the constituency that late Gopinath Munde used to represent in the Maharashtra Assembly. These days, tankers do bring water, but distribution is fraught with discrimination.
एक 2-2 किलोमीटर जाना पड़ता है पानी के वास्ते और दर घूमते हैं तो भी फिर हमको पानी कोई देता नहीं। हर एक घर को हम पहुंचते हैं पानी दो लेकिन कोई एक घड़ा भर के नहीं देता है साफ पानी।
The indifferent availability of water has changed the routine of the poor, be it children, elderly or women. Without exception, they all travel long distances in search of water. After coming from work, women get busy queuing up for water. Children also join these long lines after coming home from schools.
यहाँ 5 साल से पूरा सूखा चल रहा है और ये 5 साल में खेती का कुछ अनाज भी नहीं होता है, लेकिन सब गांव में सब 99% मजदूर है। शहर 10-12 किलोमीटर है तो सब लोग जाके अपना पेट बाल बच्चे के वास्ते सब जाके काम धंधा करके आते हैं और पीने का पानी का इतना प्रॉब्लम है।
Most of the water sources in the city and the surrounding countryside have dried up. The little water that is available is also polluted. Everywhere there is a fight against nature to dredge water from great depths. But the situation is so bad that farmers are forced to seek labor in far-off places. The Beed district administration has been extremely dynamic and has taken several steps to respond to the crisis. But the discrimination in distribution is clearly evident from these women with their empty pitchers. Arvind Kumar Singh's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
In more news, the Narendra Modi government today filed 6 of the 7 vacancies in the nominated category in Rajya Sabha. Narendra Jadhav, member of erstwhile National Advisory Council, was nominated to Rajya Sabha along with BJP leaders Subramanian Swamy and Navjot Singh Sidhu. Malayalam actor Suresh Gopi, journalist Swapan Das Gupta and Olympic medalist Mary Kom were also nominated as new Rajya Sabha members. President Pranab Mukherjee nominated the 6 personalities from different fields to the upper house following a recommendation of the Narendra Modi government. The nominated members are from fields as diverse as literature, science, sports, art and social service.
It's a great honor for me. Of course, I have a dream also. My dream is to qualify and get the Olympic gold medal.
It's a blessing on one side and it's a huge responsibility. And I think this is the first time it's come to a filmy person from Kerala. So this will be a yardstick, measuring yard.
And with that, let's get you all the election-related news in our segment Verdict 2016. The formal process leading up to the Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Puducherry Assembly elections started today. Many prominent candidates from the main fronts submitted their nomination papers on the first day. The nomination papers will be accepted up to 3 p.m. on 29th April and scrutiny will be on the 30th of April, while candidates can withdraw nominations up to the 2nd of May. An election commission statement said no nominations can be filed tomorrow, which is a bank holiday, or the day after, which is a Sunday. Meanwhile, in West Bengal, 2 left activists were killed in post-poll violence in Burdwan district. Armed men beat up the victims with lathis and iron rods on Thursday night in Lotna village in Khandaghosh Assembly constituency while returning home after polling duty. Trinamool Congress party workers are suspected to have led the attack. So far, 3 left activists have been killed since Thursday after one person was killed in Murshidabad in the 3rd phase of the state assembly polls.
It's not a clash, it's an attack, deliberate attack to fulfill the wish of the Chief Minister, just to reinforce the reign of terror which they were perpetrating for last 3-4 years. whatever they plan to rig the election or to just ransack the polling thing, they could not. So naturally, immediately after the election, they have mounted attack, not only in Bardhaman, but in several parts of the states.
Trinamool Congress is getting desperate and they are violent. They know that they can affect the electoral process only by violence. So therefore they are resorting to loot, murder and arson.
तृणमूल कांग्रेस सोचे थे बहुत रिगिंग करेंगे, छप्पा चलाएंगे, लेकिन चुनाव आयोग ने इतना कड़ाई से चुनाव कराया जो उन्होंने बूथ का आसपास तक जा नहीं पाया। इसी का हताशा से उन्होंने गुंडागर्दी शुरू की और चुनाव का बाद भी शुरू किए, चुनाव का समय भी अनावश्यक बात लेके शुरू किए।
And now let's get you all the other national news updates in Nationwide. At least 50 shanties were gutted on Friday in a major fire at Banjara Basti in Bhopal. Police are yet to find the exact cause of the fire. According to the Bhopal Municipal Corporation Commissioner, around 300 to 400 people have been affected and the process of arranging temporary shelter for them has begun. No casualties have been reported so far. Meanwhile, the Indian Army has taken an operation to no casualties have been reported so far in this particular incident. In more news, the Indian Army has taken an operation to demine the border areas in Kashmir due to the alarm over the recent landmine blast near the line of control. The Army carried out demining operation in Naushera town in Rajouri district on Thursday. Braving the blazing heat, a multitude of sadhus and the disciples took the Shahi Snan at the Ram Ghat in Shipra River on Friday on the opening day of the month-long Simhastra Kumbh Mela. For the first time, the Kumbh Mela will see the participation of transgenders who have put up in Akhada and announced that they will take a holy dip on the 9th of May. The Uttar Pradesh government has taken back the 25,000-acre land which had been allotted to the JP Group to set up a cement factory in Sonbhadra district. The land was allotted in 1980. The Supreme Court had recently sought a reply from the concerned authorities after the UP Forest Department made an objection over the land allotment, claiming that the company was carrying out illegal mining in the region. Without a quick break here, we'll be back with international news in a bit. Stay with us.
Ghata, one of the oldest and most unique percussion instruments of southern India. You can play it not only with your fingers, but palms, wrists and heels as well. You'd be surprised, but the air inside the ghatam reverberates, creating the musical notes. 5 elements of nature: earth, water, air, fire and space make up the composition of this beautiful musical piece, which has found an apt place in most of the ancient books.
Welcome back. Now, India's move to grant visa to World Uyghur Congress leader Dolkun Issa for a visit to the country has irked China. China expressed concern over Dolkun Issa's reported visit to India, claiming that he is a terrorist on the Interpol's Red Corner notice, and it is the obligation of all countries to bring him to justice. However, India's decision to permit WUC leaders, whom China regard as backers of terrorism in its volatile Muslim-dominated Xinjiang province, is reported to be in response to Beijing's blocking a ban on Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar at the UN. WUC leaders are expected to attend a conference on democracy and China in Dharamshala during their visit. The death toll from a petrochemical plant explosion in southeastern Mexico has now risen to 24. The toll was raised from the 13 fatalities previously known, as 19 people remain hospitalized, with 13 of them in serious condition. Earlier in the day, desperate relatives gathered outside the petrochemical plant on Mexico's southern Gulf Coast, hoping for news about loved ones still unaccounted for. The blast forced evacuations of nearby areas as it sent a toxin-filled cloud billowing into the air, injuring more than 100 workers. It is the latest in a series of incidents, though, at Pemex. In February this year, a worker was killed in a fire at the same factory, while more than 60 people have died in two separate incidents on the company premises in the past 4 years.
Los familiares de las personas que lamentablemente perdieran la vida en este muy trágico accidente ocurrido en Coatzacoalcos, Veracruz, en la planta de Pajaritos. Sin duda, este incidente ha causado pena y dolor en muchas familias, en personas que hoy están lesionados, y desde aquí acompaño a todas las familias que pasan por un momento de pena y de dolor con nuestra mayor solidaridad.
Pop icon Prince, singer, songwriter, arranger and multi-instrumentalist, is no more. He was found unresponsive in an elevator at his recording studio in US's Minnesota. Fans and the music world are struggling to come to terms with the sudden death. Here's a report.
The music world stunned by the shock news of the sudden death of Prince. The 57-year-old music icon was found unresponsive on Thursday at his Minnesota home and later declared dead. His death cut short a prolific music career that started with a teenager somehow talking his way into a record contract with Warner. Unprecedentedly, the unknown boy was given total control. The pop superstar, whose real name was Prince Rogers Nelson, was a prolific singer, songwriter and multi-instrumentalist. He sold over 100 million albums in a career that spanned over 3 decades. His music integrated a wide variety of styles, including funk, rock, R&B, soul, psychedelia and pop. Kiss was just one of the several planetary hits in the 80s and 90s that established him as an artist everyone wanted to hear. He produced movies, generously supported other artists with songs, and had such a work rate that there are probably hundreds of hours of material waiting to be released. Painfully shy, Prince was a beast on the stage. As a mixed-race Latino African-American with white blood, he was never going to fit in anywhere, and so had to be larger than life. His unashamed sexuality added to the image of a dangerous, out-of-control man that at first shocked and repelled before an adoring public embraced it. Fans have been struggling to come to terms with news of his sudden death.
He's a voice of this world and this state. I don't know what we're going to do without him.
It felt like the place you had to go, you know. You hear something like that, and where else are you going to go but home? This is home.
Tributes poured in also from the music world. President Obama said the world lost a creative icon. Cities across the US held tributes and vigils and lit buildings, bridges and other venues in purple light. The US Space Agency NASA tweeted a picture of a purple nebula in honor of Prince. Prince once said of himself, "As I go into this journey called life, I rarely look back." tonight, or many nights to come. We certainly will.
Count it.
All right, with that, let's move on to some sports news. And in cricket, the Mumbai Cricket Association today moved Supreme Court against the Bombay High Court order to shift IPL matches out of Maharashtra owing to the water crisis. The Cricket Association in its petition said that it will use treated sewage water for cricket pitches instead of potable water. Representing the MCA, Kapil Sibal told the Apex Court that it's not against the suffering of the people of Marathwada reeling under drought. The board also demanded that its plea to move IPL matches out of Maharashtra should be heard by the Supreme Court on the 25th of April. Earlier, the Bombay High Court on the 13th of April had ordered shifting of all IPL matches scheduled in Maharashtra to another state after 30th of April in view of the severe drought situation in the state.
Well, it's their legitimate right to go to Supreme Court, but I'm sure the highest court will take a realistic view that the state and the people are suffering from drought situation. If a decision was taken in this regard, I'm sure justice will be done. People are not getting water, they don't have a drop of water in certain areas and they are struggling. So IPL Governing Council and the BCCI, those who are making the itinerary, should take it to centers where water is in abundance and a situation of going to the court doesn't arise.
And now let's get you more sports news in Sports Beat. India's campaign came to an end today at the China Masters badminton tournament as PV Sindhu and HS Pranoy crashed out of the women's and men's singles after suffering straight game defeats in their respective quarter-final matches. It was also curtains for star pair of Jwala Gutta and Ashwini Ponnappa, who went down to the top-seeded Chinese pair in a 39-minute women's doubles quarter-final. In tennis, top-seeded Indo-Swiss pair of Sani Mirza and Martina Hingis have stormed into the semi-finals of the Porsche Tennis Grand Prix tournament. The duo outplayed Czech Republic pair of Barbara Krejcikova and Katerina Siniakova 6-1, 6-3 in the quarter-final. They will now next face Sabine Lisicki of Germany and Lucy Safarova of Czech Republic in the semi-final. India's ace QS Pankaj Advani has reached the semi-finals of the Asian Snooker Championship in Qatar. Advani ousted Syrian player Karam Fatima, scoring 5 frames to nil. He will now take on a Thai opponent in the semi-final. Rafael Nadal has advanced to the quarterfinals of the Barcelona Open. He defeated fellow Spaniard Albert Montañez 6-2, 6-2 in straight sets. Nadal broke Montañez's serve 5 times to continue his superb start in the clay court season. And that's all we have for you on the news tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a good weekend.